Hi everyone, my name is Belén, and I will be presenting on behalf of all authors the paper Circumspect Users, Older Adults as Critical Adopters and Resistors of Technology. This was the question we set to answer. How do older adults' life experiences relate to practices of technology adoption and use in later life? In order to answer that question, we had to work out two things. First, who are these older adults? This is a slippery category, one that has proven rather hard to define. When do we turn into an older adult? At 50? At 60? At 80? Although there is no agreed definition of older adulthood, we all seem to agree that biological age is a very unsatisfactory classification criteria. So we looked for an alternative and came to define older adults as those who are experienced in the art of living. We also concluded that retiring from full-time work is a very important part of that living experience, and that determined our recruitment criteria. We decided to look for 20 participants who had retired from full-time work, and that rendered a group of people between 63 and 90 years old. The second thing we had to work out in order to answer our research question was how to study life experience. To help us with that, we adopted the life course perspective as a conceptual framework, and that suggested the method. We would develop personal trajectories of technology through life story interviews. The life story interview is a form of biographical interview where the participant is firmly in control of the process and the narrative. The researcher is present as a collaborator, but the participant is the boss. We like this idea of empowering participants because older adults are often feel alienated and excluded from conversations about technology. They have come to believe that they have nothing to contribute to the subject, which is kind of ironic because older adults are the most experienced people in society when it comes to living through technological change. We wanted to do justice to this type of technological experience and wanted our participants to take the power back. To engage with their personal technology trajectories, we broadened the technology scope. Rather than just discussing computers and mobile phones, we included the breadth of appliances and gadgets that arrived in the home and the workplace during the past 100 years. To communicate this technology scope to our participants, we presented them with a set of images like these ones. There were about 100 of them, and you can browse them all in this URL. We printed the images on faded cardboard so that they looked a bit like old postcards. We started the interviews by laying the printed images in front of the participants, giving them a few minutes to sift through them and to pick a few that were meaningful. We proceeded by asking them questions about their interactions with technology throughout their lives. For instance, what was the first piece of technology they remembered as a child, if there was any technology in school, and what kinds of technologies they encountered in work. The narratives of our participants uncovered deep tensions between past and present experiences of technology. These tensions translated into profound dissonances between our participants' personal values and the values they associated with digital technologies. Those dissonances became circumspection in technology use. Our participants were cautious, thoughtful, and critical, and considered carefully what technologies to use and what to use them for. Their actions and attitudes strongly reminded us of what James Scott has called everyday resistance, the disguised forms of struggle deployed by the weaker party to a power relationship when other forms of collective action become unavailable or dangerous. Strategies of everyday resistance like foot dragging and feigned ignorance may seem banal, but deployed consistently over time, they can turn out to be surprisingly effective. We have long dismissed older adults' circumspect attitude towards technology, believing it to be a mostly irrational attachment to the past, but understood as everyday resistance, their attitude becomes a legitimate critique that must be taken seriously. In addition, the connection between our life experiences of technology and our attitudes towards it in later life confronts us with the question of how our own techno-historical context, with its ubiquitous computation, its bulk data collection, its widespread surveillance, and its opaque algorithms, will shape the perceptions and attitudes towards technology of our older selves. Thank you.